Welcome to the Soul Driven Podcast. I believe that when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. If you are searching for meaning and purpose, if you are unsure about how to combine the spiritual with the everyday, if you are ready to uncover who you truly are, then you've come to the right place. The Soul Driven Podcast is dedicated to exploring the intersection of living a soulful and spiritual life in a driven and ambitious world. Join me for practical guidance, truthful discussions, and interviews with people who are successfully living a soul-driven life. My name is Anna Hendricks, spiritual guide, marketer, and your host. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, folks, to another monthly Akashic Forecast here on the Soul Driven Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, for spending your valuable time with me. I am excited to jump into May's forecast with you. Can you believe it's already May? I mean, I know I say the same thing every month. It's like such a trope, like, oh my gosh, time is flying, blah, blah, blah. But I seriously don't know where April went. And granted, this is coming out a couple of days early, which is kind of nice, so that you can get buckled in, seated up, and ready for the month ahead. Because guess what? May is bringing it. We have got a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, Mercury's going into retrograde, Pluto's going into retrograde. Oh man, just buckle in, that solid foundation that the records continues to remind us to have. That's where we got to be. It's where we got to be. That grounded place, that centered place, that place that brings us back to ourselves. And, you might be one of the very lucky few who are flying through this energy. And if you are, through my grunted teeth, cheers to you, because I've just been getting my butt kicked, and it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie. In fact, so rough that today, as I am recording this, I'm up to the wire here with recording this so that we could get it out on time. And today I was just kind of hit with so much energy and so much just frustration. And I was honestly just kind of like, you know what? I don't have to put this out on time. I don't need to do that. It'll be fine. It's not a big deal. And as the day has gone on, of course, my mind has jumped back and forth to it. And I was like, you know what? I am going to do this because I want to show up for you. And I got to tell you, sometimes it's really, really freaking hard to do that. But I know that you count on me, and I appreciate you. And in addition, I know that having a couple of extra days to really sit with this reading is going to be important. So a couple of things are going to be a little bit different on this episode. Mainly just that I'm not going to be diving into the astrology on the other end of the forecast reading. This is primarily because, one, I just don't have the emotional, energetic bandwidth for it, because so much is happening in May, but also because so much is happening in May that I really want to direct you to checking out the astrology podcast or something of that nature that will really give you a good idea of what it is that is going on. It would be very difficult for me to go over the astrology for May and do it in a succinct, short manner. So I'm going to leave that up to the professionals. But I will still be popping back in on the other side of the reading so that, just a little bit on integration. So FYI, but I'm here for you, I'm definitely here for you, and I'm sending you so much love. Like I mentioned, April's just been really hard, and one of the biggest things that I have been struggling with is self-doubt. Oh my gosh. I'm someone, one of my big life themes that I'm here to heal and move through is rejection, which, funny enough, is aligned with a lot of folks who have podcasts, like their life themes. I won't get into that too much, but rejection's a big one for me. I've talked about that on this podcast before. And, so because rejection is such a big thing for me, I have, bounced in and out of that world of self-doubt and disbelief and a lack of confidence and those things here and there throughout my life and at different times. It definitely shows up when I don't take care of myself, when I don't sleep, or when I'm nearing my monthly cycle, but for the most part, I'm pretty good. For the most part, I'm a upbeat, positive person. I bounce back quickly, like I can definitely fall and get my knees all scraped up. But then I just kind of like get into my warrior mode and I'm just like, I'm doing it. But this has been, it's been like wave after wave after wave of just this intensity of self-doubt from every angle of my life, my past, the decisions I've made when I was younger, the things that I did, interactions with family, decisions I made in the businesses that I've run, just all kinds of things. I mean, just from freaking every direction. And it's just been like boof, 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 getting pummeled back and forth, back and forth. And I think I may have mentioned this in last week's episode, but I have gone into the Akashic Records tantruming. I can't even tell you how many times being like, what the F is going on? I am so frustrated. I am just really, really upset. And, they're always amazing. They don't judge us. They accept us as we are. They know it's not easy to be a human. It's not, But Earth is a learning planet. We definitely come here for the lessons. It's not just meant to be like a joyride the whole way through. They actually told me that in one of my readings. They were like, it's not just supposed to be like just this like long, endless trail of fun. And I'm like, but why not? I always go back to that girls just want to have fun movie in my head, like, no, I just want to dance. I just want to like fall in love and have fun, play music. And yeah. But it's been rough. And funny enough, last month, this month, still April, our theme was wash over you. And that self-doubt, man, it has just continued. One of the things the records did share with me, and I don't know if this is something that will resonate with you, but is that one of the lessons that I'm learning right now is learning how to maintain a balance in the midst of extreme highs and extreme lows. And I think I had shared before, like back in March, man, I found my groove. I got in some excellent energy, like things were going great, feeling good. And it was just like I was flying high, and then all of a sudden, I got dropped to the ground. And it has been the two extremes of that. And part of that with my self-doubt is just this extreme between me really seeing how much it doesn't serve me and, how much it holds me back in my life and how much it has prevented me from really stepping out, really showing up as I am, being the person that I am, being the person I know I can be, participating in so many different areas of life. I mean, I could go on and I will save you the time. But, I just share all of this because if you are going through a difficult time or if things are rough on your end, just know you're not alone. And the record shared with me as well that they couldn't help me to fully understand what's going on because I'm still in the midst of learning it. And so when I get to the other side of it and I can share it with you, I absolutely will, of course. But I'm just hoping to switch from, or at least get some relief. And man, we got our first Solar eclipse happening this weekend, so I'm just holding on tight. Like, all right, bring it in. Okay, we're like 9 minutes over in here, and I haven't even gotten started. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Okay, so a couple of announcements. First of all, I will not be here next week. My partner and I have planned a vacation. I am so insanely pumped. This is my first vacation in 2 years. And when I say vacation, the way that I view vacation is go away and do nothing. I'm not one of these people who books a trip, books tons of activities. That's traveling to me. Booking a vacation, we are going to a cabin in the woods in another state where nobody is, where we won't be bothered, without the electronics, and just gonna chill, go for hikes, take naps, just unwind. And I can't wait. But suffice it to say, I just flat out will not be available all of next week, and there will not be an episode. But we will be returning on the 11th the following week, and I'm so pumped because Katie Emma, an evolutionary astrologist, is popping in for that episode, and we are talking all about midlife transits, folks. This is going to be so freaking good. I can't even tell you. I turned 40 last year, and midlife transits kind of start like mid 30s to like really, honestly, till about 60. That's not true. Okay, really till like 51. But then your second Saturn return is when you're 60. I digress. Anyway, we're going to be covering a couple of these transits that I wish I had known about leading up to them. And you might be in the midst of them. There are still some that I haven't hit yet, but suffice it to say, this is empowering information that I can't wait to share with you. I'm excited. So definitely check back in on the 11th for that episode. The second thing is any session that you book with me through the month of May, whether it's an Akashic reading, a human design reading, a mentorship session, anything, 10% of that is going to Ukraine. I am still in between two different organizations that I want to support, and I might just end up splitting it up and sending it to both. When I decide on my organizations, I'll definitely share them with you and share them on social media. But, my heart continues to go out. I saw a video the other day on the BBC. These two men were talking. They had escaped from Mariupol, and hopefully I'm not, completely ruining the pronunciation of that. Forgive me. But, it's always been so humbling and such a mega experience to see men cry, for me. Even like since I was a little girl, I've always thought, like strong men cry. Strong men don't have a problem crying, right? But these men, their tears were from such a place of brokenness. I mean, I just watched a mini clip because quite frankly, I don't watch TV. I don't watch clippings, those sorts of things, because I can't handle it. I'm so sensitive. And just, to see the look in these men's eyes, their energy just broken, dejected, just heartbroken. So that will be running throughout May. I'm probably going to be putting together something as well to kind of back that up, but there'll be more coming. And then finally, if you love these monthly forecasts, make sure that you join me every Friday on YouTube for live weekly forecasts. So I'm doing those every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I obviously won't be popping up next week, but it's another way for you to get more forecasts if you love these. And, I'm going to be keeping the records open so folks who join me live can ask the records questions. Obviously, general questions. They can't be personal questions, but asking questions maybe about what's going on our planet, what's happening within politics, or, just spiritual questions, questions about our universe, whatever the case may be. But, and if you can't catch it live, no problem. You can watch the replay anytime you want. But I just wanted to let you know, to remind you, that's an additional thing that I've done to just support through these times. Okay, so again, just revisiting real briefly, April's theme of wash over you. I'd love to know how April went for you. I'd be really curious. Outside of the mega waves of self-doubt that I was getting hit with, one of the big things they talked about in the April reading was emotions, and how huge emotions were going to be, and how important it is for us to accept our emotions. And I don't know about you, but that's a difficult one for me. And especially in the midst of these waves of self-doubt, it's just been like, no, I have tantrum so hard, not wanting to be in these places. I have eaten food I shouldn't have eaten. I have been checking out more than I normally do. And it's not been easy. And if you have been finding yourself in that place, it's no shame, all the love, give yourself gratitude and thanks for just being here, because that's not easy. But I am super excited to move into a different month, move into different energy. The energy is definitely going to be picking up, and we're going to be leaving a lot of this Pisces behind, which I just can't even wait. Like I've mentioned before, I love Pisces, probably my favorite sign, but this year, not so much. Okay, so the Akashic Records. If you are new, if this is your first monthly forecast to dive into, first of all, just welcome. The Akashic Records are energy that exists around us at all times, but it exists at a very high frequency. In fact, it's such a high frequency that it is in a different dimension. And when I access the Akashic Records, I use a sacred prayer that helps me to elevate my frequency so that I can access this dimension. And within this dimension, I can access information past, present, future. For these monthly readings, I open up the Akashic Records for the listeners of the Soul Driven podcast. So whether you are a regular listener or this is your first time, it doesn't matter. There is something here for you. And whether you listen to this when it goes out live or you listen to it weeks down the road, months, years, whatever, there is still something here for you. You can dive into episode 41 if you would like to learn more about the Akashic Records and my journey with the Akashic Records. Something that's really cool is that science has discovered the Akashic Records. And they don't call them that, obviously. They called it like the quantum field of information. And, it's obviously something that they're still exploring. But what I do is I open up, the records and I ask them to share with us a forecast for the upcoming month. And so that is what we will be stepping into here in just a moment. But as always, I recommend taking this reading in from a place of openness. Go find a quiet place, put in some headphones, and just let it wash over you. Don't feel the need to understand everything that I share, everything that I say. Just see what really resonates with you. See what hits you. See what comes up for you. And when the reading is over, I suggest jotting down a couple of things and then just revisiting it throughout the month. Whenever you need to feel grounded, whenever you need to, gain some understanding about what's going on, this will be a beautiful reading to return to. And the transcript will also be offered in the show notes if you would also like to read it, which for me, after I channel these through, I always have my assistant transcribe them because I've got to see the words. That's, it's just me. But we also have that resource for you. So you can check out the show notes and find the full transcript there of the reading. So you can go back and revisit it that way. But I will pop back in on the other side, and we'll just kind of talk about the reading a bit, talk about some integration, some potential tips or anything like that that come up. And yeah, just enjoy, and I will see you on the other side. Lightning bolts coming down from every direction. Yes, they pierce the earth, waking her up even more. For she has heard your cries. She has felt what is happening upon her. And slowly but surely, her eyes are opening, her ears are turning on. She is becoming aware and awakened to what it is that is taking place on her landscape, across her meadows, streams, atop the mountains, within the valleys, across cities, towns, oceans, and nations. Yes, she has heard your battle cry. Yes, she has felt your tears streaming down her own face, finding their ways into the giant pools of water that take up so much of this planet. Yes, it is your tears that help her to wake up. Yes, it is all that is flowing through you, that is flowing through her. For as you can see, you and her are one. There is no separation. For as she is waking up, so too are you. Becoming more accustomed to what it means to be living, having your feet placed on solid, firm ground, being able to go about your doings, seeing one another yet again. Yet all the while you know that great disharmony is occurring. It is this juxtaposition between a happiness that wants to spill forward, yet knowledge of what is actually happening that pulls at your very soul. This is why you have felt moody, why it is that finding the centerpiece within your peace has been so difficult. For so many of you are lost, yet so many are coming on board. And yes, it is through pain. Yes, it is through separation. It is through looking out across the landscape and seeing what it is that is taking place, not only on your very front doorstep, but on those many, many miles from yours. Yes, you walk with a constant state of anxiety these days, not knowing exactly what it is that you are meant to feel. But when you tune into your own world, You can find that peace. Yes, you can find that harmony. Or you can create it. This month is going to bring so much forward. It's going to unearth memories, emotions, things that have lived down beneath the cracked earth for so much of your lifetime. Things that you've been able to look away from. Things that haven't plagued your soul, yet have ripped at your insides. For you have been a busy bee, going about doing this and that, keeping yourself ever so occupied. But that ability to distract yourself is beginning to fade. You are no longer finding the satisfaction you once felt in the TV screens, the scrolls, the food, nor the alcohol, drugs, ways in which you felt you were able to touch in to something kind of like happiness. No, things are becoming more real by the day, and that is only going to increase with time. But what it's doing is opening you up. It's giving you a greater chance to participate in all that is around you, for that is what is being asked. For you to stand up, take part, and whatever way that you are meant to. This will look different for everyone. You need not look at your neighbor and assume that what they are meant to do is aligned with you. No. You must find your own path. This month, more of that will come forward. Yet it will also be hazy. For there will be so much coming at you at one time. You won't know where it is that you must look. Look down, look at your feet. Look at the solid Earth, Mother Earth. She wakes up with you. She feels your turmoil, anxiety, stress, happiness. When you laugh, she laughs. When you cry, she cries. It is this oneness that is coming on board bit by bit, step by step. With each new sun in the sky, each new moon at night, more and more is being shown, more and more is coming forward. And soon you will be unable to look away. Soon you will feel it within every ember of your body. And this is what is destined. For how could you care about Mother Earth if you did not realize she is you, you are her. And by damaging her, you will also be damaging yourself. Everything in this life is but a mirror to you. And this mirror is getting clearer and clearer by the day. This is where you will find yourself shortly, realizing that all around you, all that takes place is this mirror, this reflection. Take time with yourself this month. Take rest whenever you can, as the energy will be shifting, picking up pace, going faster and faster, as you have all seen. The clock winding down at such a quick pace. You think it's just in your world, but it is all worlds. Therefore, seek to find the steady ground. Seek to do the thing that most calls at you. Seek to fill your life with laughter, joy, abundance, family, friends, togetherness. Get outside. Be with Mother Earth. Connect with her, for she longs for you. This month, take extra care with your steps. Pay attention to where you walk. And mind your neighbors, those who are around you, those who you walk alongside. Determine if they too can walk the same path with you. You need not carry anything that is not aligned. You need not walk in the footsteps of anyone but yourself. Take your time. Enjoy the space within. And chase joy. With love's rapturous excitement. All right. So just coming back in. I always like to talk a little bit quieter on the other side for a hot minute. Have to say though, this reading wasn't exactly a cool, calm, serene sort of reading. You know, channeling this message was such a trip. What was interesting is I realized later is that I channeled this on Earth Day. And what is the biggest theme of this reading, if not Mother Earth? You know, pretty wild, pretty wild. But I also think that this is just where we're at right now, what it is that is going on for us. When the words, like the first words were coming out of my mouth, like lightning bolts coming down from every direction, I was internally just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Sounds like a lot. And hey, you know, the beautiful thing about the Akashic Records is that they give it to us straight. And that can also be an uncomfortable thing about the Akashic Records sometimes. But as always, if you feel fear, that's okay. Acknowledge it, you know, welcome it in, get curious about it, find out what it is that's going on. Where is it coming from? What are you scared of? You know, give yourself the time, space, and energy to know that it's okay to feel fear right now. You know, fear that immobilizes us, fear that prevents us from stepping out, from helping others, from living our lives. That's obviously not a fear that we want to let reign in our lives. But we still need to make space for it because these are unpredictable and uncertain times. And it's just the truth of the matter that at times we're going to feel fear. But this message is in no means a fearful message at all, I don't believe. It's just a truthful, direct message. And I know I've shared on the podcast before, every reader has their own sort of flavor when it comes to channeling or sharing from the Akashic Records. And when I first started reading, there were two channelers in particular, two readers, I should say, that I listened to, and both of them, oh my gosh, share like the most beautiful, sweet, just like, get all gushy, mushy, and yeah, all of that. And I loved, I really enjoyed those. And then when I started channeling, and I was like, what the heck, man? They are so hardcore. But that's my style. That's who I am, who I am in my real life, who I am with my friends. My friends know that out of the majority of people, if not all of the people in their life, they can come to me for truth. They know that I'll be honest with them. And they know that I'm going to really try my hardest to give it to them in a very kind and loving way. But they know that if I'm like, that wasn't cool, I'm going to say it, And it's funny that that's kind of how the records are as well. Lightning bolts coming down from every direction. All right. Yeah, that's what May is about. But guess what? By being here, by taking this in, this is where we get empowered. And this is exactly why it's beautiful that this message is coming out a couple of days before May kicks off, before the first solar eclipse. There's only one solar eclipse. There's a lunar eclipse as well. So there's two eclipses anyway. But yeah, we're stepping into a big month, and that is just what it is. No sugarcoating it. Of course, they mentioned again in this reading about having our feet placed on solid ground. I found it interesting because, of course, this reading came through so clearly. It was just like, boom, it's here. There was no real hesitation. There was no like breaks. There was no, it just came directly out, very clear. There were lots of visions that they were sharing with me in regards to what might happen this month. But, I think that there's a real potential for the wars, in Ukraine heightening. I think that there's opportunity for some pretty intense things to occur this month. And we got to buckle in. We got to really lean on each other and really lean on our practices. And I love, I shouldn't be jumping to this already, but I love that they ended this reading with chase joy, with love's rapturous excitement. Because that is what we need, honestly, more than anything in these times, is joy. Being around people that make us laugh, watching things that make us laugh. I mean, in the midst of the last couple of weeks, which have been so rough for me, I have been like kind of compiling, finding like all of the funniest like animal reels on Instagram that I could find and like sharing them with my partner. I love animals. I have no interest in watching humans on on social media very much, but I love animals and they just crack me up. So, they make me all warm and fuzzy and all the things, but that's what I've really needed to do for myself. Sometimes just to be like, okay, you can move, you can go. Here's a really funny video. So we must choose joy in these times. Okay, so kind of diving in here, what I found really interesting on the front end, one of the big things that popped out to me was, the fact that things are opening up on this planet again, right? Even though COVID is still a concern and still happening, things are opening back up. I rarely see people wearing masks when I go out now. My community was like, I mean, it really didn't ever get hit hard. So my community kind of throughout the past couple of years has been pretty chill and lax on a lot of things. But, things have really been changing. People getting together now, as you're seeing online. People are going to conferences again. People are going to concerts, traveling for speaking engagements, those sorts of things. And not just within the US, but like all over the world. And things are opening back up, right? But this juxtaposition between trying to step back into this life that it's like we're kind of wanting to step back into life like life was back in 2019, but we're not able to do that anymore. Things have changed. There's a great disharmony that is occurring. And disharmony is I think a really beautiful word for explaining and describing what it is that's going on the planet right now, because there is so much disharmony. And it's something that like we can't shake. No matter how happy we can feel in our moments, and no matter how content we can be with whatever it is that we're doing, there's still like a kind of an undercurrent that is a little bit cautious, a little bit off, a little bit aware. And that's because we're waking up. We're waking up. Them talking about Mother Earth. I loved all of like the visuals that were coming through in regards to how we are one with Mother Earth, and that as she's waking up, so too are we. And I think that they may have touched on this either in the last reading for April, or even potentially in March. I meant to look back, but this one I felt like was on a whole different level. And certainly like what was coming through visually when I was channeling was just really seeing this circle. It's like us and Mother Earth, almost kind of like us being like wrapped around Mother Earth. We are Mother Earth. Our bodies are of Mother Earth, right? Our spirits may not be. Not everyone is or has an earthly soul, but our bodies are, period. They are of this planet. They are 3D. And that's why we feel a little bit off, even on our good days. Like there's still some like weirdness that can creep in. Why is it that finding the centerpiece within your peace, P-E-A-C-E, has been so difficult? I thought that was such a beautiful line. Finding the centerpiece within your peace has been so difficult. In the midst of this us realizing that we are a part of Mother Earth, and within like the theme of this month really being this mirror, like what it is that we're seeing happening on this planet is also happening within us. And that is why the disharmony, that is why the anxiety, that is why the discomfort, that is why it's difficult for us to find our peace right now, because we are affected. And the more and more aware of how affected we are by, maybe like things that are happening in the Ukraine or China, or there's so many different places on earth, in anywhere really, where torment is happening, where lives are, being ended, like where, yeah, things are happening. It's not just Ukraine, but it's all affecting us. We're all so much more aware now than we ever were before. We'll never be able to go back. So this month is going to bring so much forward, right? They shared it's going to unearth memories, emotions, things that have lived down beneath the cracked earth for so much of your lifetime. What really jumped out to me in regards to this portion of the reading was the eclipse season that we are heading into. This is what eclipses do. I mean, it's honestly almost kind of like an exact description of what an eclipse can bring forward for us. Things that you've been able to look away from, things that haven't plagued your soul, yet have ripped out your insides. For you have been a busy bee going about doing this and that, keeping yourself ever so occupied. But that ability to distract yourself is beginning to fade. You are no longer finding the satisfaction you once felt in the TV screens, scrolls, food, drugs, alcohol. The ways in which you felt you were able to touch in to something kind of like happiness. You know, we've all been trying to kind of run through this period and I think just kind of get back to some sort of steady normal. Instead of realizing that and accepting, I think, the times for what they are. I was just talking with a friend of mine about this, about, you know, things are never going to go back to the way they were. And we've got a rough road ahead because we're breaking down so many different things that don't work for us. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, but it's what's going to continue happening. And I think that, you know, while some of the messages might seem like they're repeated and all of this, it's because, yes, they are repeated, because these things, these changes are not going to happen overnight. They may not even happen within our generation, depending upon how old you are. It just kind of depends. But they are becoming more real by the day, and that's going to increase with time. What all of these things are doing is opening us up. I loved when they pointed that out. What all of this is doing is opening us up to care about other people, to care about our planet, to care about our neighbors, to care about our family and friends who need our help, our partners, our children, our whatever the case may be, to care. You know, here in the US anyway, and I obviously can only speak from that perspective, but we are such a independent society. You know, we really, like, man, I'm really thankful for COVID in so many ways, and I don't ever want to diminish all of the difficulties that we have gone through as a planet because of COVID, the folks who have passed away and all of that. But especially here in the US, man, we were on some kind of bad road. You know, America's got a lot of waking up to do. We are a consumerism culture. We are far too independent. We do not appreciate, value, love, family, or respect our elders. You know, yeah, there are things that are wrong in every culture, but we were really, I mean, I didn't know a lot of people who actually truly could be present with their kids. They were always on their phones pre-pandemic. And now when I'm around, you know, friends who have kids, people who have children, they're so much more present. Things are changing, and it's not like it's changed overnight. But what has happened has opened us up. And I loved, you know, when they pointed out, like, yeah, it's not been easy, right? It's been through pain. It's been through difficulty. But it's helping us to open up. And in relation to Mother Earth, you know, our planet is so precious. I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina. We moved there when I was a young girl, and I remember driving down the highways with my parents when I was a young girl and looking out the window and seeing just these beautiful fields of wildflowers. And the roads were always so clean. And we had moved from Kansas City, Missouri, where we lived in the inner city, and it was not clean and it was not pretty. And and I just remember always loving that. And then I remember going back a couple of years after I had left home and seeing trash. And I mean, I had always been really hardcore about trash. Like, people did not litter from my car while I was driving. Oh, hell no. Or when I was in the car, I had a friend of mine once, I had a car full of people, and she threw something out the window, and I slammed on the brakes. We were on the highway, and I made her get out and get it. And I definitely humiliated her. But I was just like, no way will you do that in my car. We need to respect our planet. We need to take care of what it is that we have. She is you. You are her. We are her. And when we damage her, we are also damaging ourselves. When we throw litter down, when we aren't conscious of how much plastic we're using, or buying all of these disposable bottles instead of investing in the big jugs and these sorts of things, we're hurting ourselves as well. And Mother Earth, as she's waking up, things are changing. I mean, man, do we have some stuff coming. And it's really fascinating to me. Everyone kind of wants to throw the fault either on us as a people, or, in regards to climate change, or they want to say, no, it's not climate change. It's just the planet. It's just like the cycles of the planet. And guess what? It's both. It's both. Okay. There are cycles of the planet. And we've also played a part. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. We need solutions. And realizing that we are all one is a huge one. So taking time for yourself this month, they remind us to take rest whenever we can because energy's shifting. Guess what? With Pluto in retrograde, which is huge. And I think that is through the latter part of this year. It's going to be for, I think, 5 months, maybe more. Mercury retrograde, which is always a humdinger. in the workshop on Monday, the Access the Akashic Records workshop, I spent the first, 5-10 minutes trying to get the music to work. I was honestly internally freaking out. I'd already had this past week little Mercury retrograde things happening, and we are pretty much already in the shadow. I think we might be in the shadow already, but that in addition to eclipses, to Venus is going into Aries, there's a number of different things. And mind you, these are not negative things, but they're just, energetic things that kind of pile on to all the other things that are already going on. So take care of yourself, right? Do yourself a really huge favor and slow down in conversation with people, especially if things are getting tense. Really lead with curiosity, take space if you need to. Get rest when you need to, whenever you need to. If you are finding yourself in a stagnant place and things just kind of aren't moving for you right now, that's because you need rest. The universe is giving you rest. So try to enjoy it. Try to have some trust that everything's going to come back. It's going to come swinging. It's not you. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just meant to rest, But pay attention to yourself this month. Additionally, really, really, really tune in, touch in to yourself. Do grounding things like getting outside. I've been trying to do that as much as I possibly can. I'm I think right at 6 days a week right now, which is really huge for my mental health, for just my sanity in general. My world has gotten too small, and I've got to start branching out. But get outside, man. Outside is where it's at. And chase joy with love's rapturous excitement. I love that little poetic line that comes in there at the very end. All right, I would love to hear how this reading resonated with you. I wish you so much love in the month ahead. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if I can help you in any way. As I mentioned, I offer mentorships, which are one-on-one spiritual guidance sessions, a wide variety of different things. The Akashic Records can be so huge in these times. And I'm really excited because my course is coming up. And yeah, you'll be hearing all about that very, very soon. So stay tuned. But for now, sending so much love. If you were inspired by today's forecast, please leave a review on iTunes, Spotify. Be sure to subscribe. Definitely sign up for the email list. I share podcast updates, helpful resources, promotions that aren't shared anywhere else. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next week. Well, week after. Much love.